The last type of problems we'll look at that involve sum and difference identities have to do with verifying the identity. So remember, these are the types of problems where the part on the right-hand side we're not going to mess with, so don't touch this. But then the part on the left-hand side we need to manipulate so that it ends up looking like what we have on the right. So if we're going to use our difference identity, because there's subtraction there, for cosine, I'm using this identity, okay? So right now, my two angles that I'm working with, the u and the v, the two angles would be 5 pi divided by 4, and the second angle would be x. Okay, we don't actually have a value for that, but we'll substitute in this x everywhere that we see a v, and we'll substitute in the 5 pi divided by 4 everywhere that we see a u in that identity. So this goes in for u, this goes in for v. I can make that a little pointier. Okay, that's u and that's v. So here's our identity. We have cosine of u times cosine of v. So I'll rewrite this as cosine of 5 pi divided by 4, and I'm just plugging all of this into this identity right here. So cosine times, cosine of 5 pi divided by 4 times cosine of x, okay? And then that is going to be added together with the sine of 5 pi divided by 4 times the sine of x, okay? So now these two values, the cosine of 5 pi divided by 4 and sine 5 pi divided by 4, I can consult the unit circle and figure out what I can replace those with. So if I go to the angle 5 pi divided by 4, those are the coordinates that I see. So then that would be my x value and my y value at the angle 5 pi divided by 4. So since cosine is the x value, at the angle 5 pi divided by 4, I can take that and replace that with negative square root of 2 divided by, then the value sine of 5 pi divided by 4, that would be the y value at that angle, 5 pi divided by 4. So I would replace all of this with negative square root of 2 divided by 2. So again, I'm just using the unit circle, grabbing my x value and my y value, so that would be my cosine, and that's my sine. All right, and then for where I have the x here, it doesn't give me an angle. The angle is unknown. It's a variable right now. So there's no way that I can change this into like an x or a y coordinate value. So I'm just going to bring this straight down. There's nothing I can substitute in for this. So this is just going to be cosine of x. And then this will just be sine of x. I can't plug in anything, or I can't substitute anything in for cosine or sine of x, okay? So then, let me rewrite this so we can simplify this here. So that's positive and the negative make it negative, so I can just rewrite this like that. Notice that between this term, because this is all one term, and this term, there is a GCF. So if I take out that negative square root of 2, if I divide both of these terms by negative square root of 2, if I factor that out, then I'm going to actually get my identity that I want to verify. So if I take out the GCF of negative square root of 2, if I take that out of this term, I'll be left with cosine x. If I remove it from this term, I'll be left with positive sine x. Okay? So there we go. That's what I wanted this to look like, and I have verified this identity. Okay, so we'll try out one more of these, and we'll not mess with this part that's on the right-hand side, and we can manipulate the part on the right. So here we're using two of these sum and difference identities at the same time. So we use the sum identity for cosine and the difference identity for cosine. And I'll plug in everywhere that I see a u, I'm going to plug in x everywhere that I see a v. I'm going to plug in y. Same thing for this difference identity. So take a second, see if you can figure out what this looks like, and then I'll show you right now. So for cosine, when I'm adding those two angles together, I'm going to get this. So that'll be cosine of x times cosine of y minus sine of x times sine of y, okay? So I just have cosine, cosine, sine, sine, they're being subtracted. And then the subtraction symbol is very similar, except now I'm just adding those together. So that was from this first addition identity, I got this. And then from the subtraction one, now I will get this. So cosine of x times cosine of y plus sine of x times sine of y. Okay? So hopefully you can see that this came from the addition identity and this one came from that difference identity. And there's addition going on between the two of those because that's what was happening at the very beginning. Okay? So now that I have all of this, are there any like terms that I could combine? Well, let's see. Okay, so this negative sine x sine y and this positive sine x sine y, these two terms will cancel each other out, okay? And then what's going to happen with the cosines, with these two terms? Well, since there's two of them, I can think of an imaginary one being in front of this, an imaginary one being in front of this, and I'm adding those coefficients together. I get 2 cosine x times cosine y, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. I have verified this identity.